if you really want a second running back that can be a threat out of the backfield, I'm not saying move Curtis Samuel to full-time running back because that's wasting his talents, but like make him that and let Antonio Gibson be the slot receiver.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a lot better off. And then let Brian Robinson just shoulder a lot of it. And then also you drafted the kid out of Kentucky, right? Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's been so good.
There you go. There's your real RB2. You got Brian Robinson as the RB1. Let Curtis Samuel be your Debo. And then just make Antonio Gibson a straight up slot receiver. Mm-hmm. I just fixed the Commander's offense. You're welcome.
In like 20 seconds. And Scott can do it in 3 years. So
exactly.
We're here.
Exactly.
We're here. Yep.
Alrighty, welcome everybody back to another video here on the channel. If you don't know who I am by now, my name is David. I also go by Miller Football, and I'm currently doing a series here on this channel where I am talking about all 32 teams in depth leading up to the 2023 NFL season. And because I am a Bears fan, there are 31 teams in the league that I can't give you that like personal in-depth insight on like fans of the team could. So I am going out and I am recruiting fans of the 31 other teams to join me and talk about their favorite teams. If it's not apparent by the apparel all over the gentleman to my right, we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders today. And to do so, I have gotten a fantastic guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the host of Keeping Up with the Commanders, Mason Kinnahan. So before we jump into this, Mason, how are you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we've got, again, we're recording this on the game day of Ravens and Commanders. Monday night, prime time, Sam Howell against the Streak. It's coming up tonight. I'm super excited. How's your day been so far?
It's been pretty all right. I've spent most of it watching Sam Howell film, I'm not going to lie. And you saw my tweet earlier. I think I'm kind of sipping the Kool-Aid. But we'll jump into that when we start talking about the team. But just to start this off, the biggest thing on everybody's mind with this football team, the bad man is gone. Dan Snyder has officially sold this football team. So just from a fan perspective, how great does it feel to have that monkey off your back?
I mean, it's incredible because, I mean, again, I've only lived through this Dan Snyder era. And when I started really becoming a big time football fan, this is when Dan Snyder got like really bad, like in 2019, 2020, where it became pretty prevalent where this team isn't going to win as long as he's the owner. Like, it's impossible. So now that he's gone, I know it took pretty much the entire offseason. And it felt like every month, is it official yet? Is it official yet? And then the date came in July, I think, and it actually happened. I know there's so many like bars and stuff around Washington, D.C., because I live in the area, that were just like over the moon. Josh Harris comes in, buys everyone a beer at like all of the bars around here or whatever. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, again, I don't drink, but like, as that's a gesture, you know. Again, I'm not 21, but like as like a gesture and stuff. It's just really cool to see because, again, Snyder would never do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you hit the nail on the head with talking about how long it took, because it really felt like Dan Snyder made that situation as much about himself as he possibly could.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not surprising to anybody. Even in a league filled with egos, you know, you look at Jim Irsay, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft. There's a lot of owners in this league that are full of themselves. Dan Snyder was at the top. There is no denying that. So watching him drag this out as long as he possibly could didn't shock me, but it was so annoying and so frustrating. Like, you know, I live relatively close to Commander country, right? I'm in Western Maryland, and I'm surrounded by Commanders fans. There are, you know, a ton of people that I know that support the team. And obviously me trying to use my platform as much as I can to speak out against some of the sickos and weirdos in the league. You know how much I hate Dan Snyder, and I'm not even a Commanders fan. So I can't imagine the excitement and the joy that your fan base is feeling, because I know how happy I am, and I'm not even a fan of the team. Right? Like, I was ready to throw a damn parade the day that Josh Harris officially signed the papers and owned the team. And I didn't know about him going around to bars and buying people's drinks. Things. That is awesome. That is fantastic. I love that. So it's great from an outside perspective, looking at the Commanders as a team. I can finally be like, okay, you know, they're free. I'm happy for them. I hope they do something with it now, because you've got the curse is gone. It is absolutely gone. Something else I want to ask you about, though, relating to the team getting sold, and this is more of a rumor thing. I honestly haven't looked too deep into it, so I'm sure you'll have more of enlightened perspective on it than I do.
Yep.
But do you think there's any weight to them wanting to change the name again? Like not
Okay.
back to the old name, but just
Yeah, but
in
like,
general?
to a new name. So here's my thought. My thoughts on like the entire name changing thing in general. At this point, I really don't care what the name is. Just keep it what it is. I don't want to waste any more energy on this. What is it going to be next? What is it going to be that? I it just keep it where it is. Washington Commanders. That's fine. I mean, like it wasn't. I wasn't really super excited. I was one of the like the Wolves fans. I wanted them to be the
Fair.
Wolves or whatever. But again, like at this point, it doesn't really matter as long as we win. Fans will be happy. So now to the news things, I know like a lot of people have been tweeting about that one petition that has like over 100,000, I think now, signatures. That's not going to change anything. It's really not. It's led by like this organization. I forgot the exact name of it, but it's fake. Like it's such a scam and stuff. And the organization, they tweeted out like a press release or whatever a few days ago, and like the language in it and stuff, it looked like it was made by like a 12-year-old. It was it's
Nice.
the entire thing is just a big scam. Whoever made the petition, and then the people that are signing it, like it's whatever. I really don't think like most fans, at least most fans that I know, don't care. Like they don't care about changing the name back or whatever. They've moved on from it. It took some time, like of course, because it kind of came up all of a sudden, and then we were in this period where we were called the football team, and like that was
I miss
just
the football team.
no. Okay, so my thoughts on the football team, it was so bad. I just didn't feel like the team had an identity. Like,
Hmm.
because you just call the football team. Like, you go Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, football team. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And
No, it
eh,
doesn't, but it was fitting for the time because the team really didn't have an identity, like,
yeah,
at all. Because it was in the middle of the Dan Snyder bullshit. So,
that's
like,
true.
it was fitting. That's why I
Yeah.
liked it. Plus, there's a certain charm to it.
Mhm.
Then again,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the team, so I'm sure on an
Mhm.
inside perspective, it's a lot different, but
Yeah. And like the branding and stuff for it too was just like I could search up the font and just type a W and that's it. Like,
mhm.
I mean, the Commanders logo kind of changed it a little bit, made it three-dimensional,
Yeah,
but
there's a little
that's
bit of
not,
detail to it.
yeah, a little bit more detail. But like, oh my goodness, the football team, man. The only good part about the football team era was the numbers on the helmets, and they
The
brought
numbers
that
on the
to the
helmets were
NFL.
cool.
That was the only good thing, and then they kept that for the Commanders' alternate black uniforms that they use and the
Oh,
black
really?
helmets. So yeah, they have
Okay.
the numbers on them, that's pretty cool. But yeah, football team was not it. It was it was not it. What else has there been? Like, yeah, but mostly overall, most fans are like complacent with where we're at right now
Mhm.
in terms of the name. Now, will they change it after the season? I don't think they're gonna change it like this season
Mhm.
of Josh Harris or whatever. I don't think they're like in the middle of the season they're gonna say something about it. But if they do change the name, which again I don't think they will, but if they do, it will be after this season. And
Yeah.
even then, I really don't think it's a good idea branding wise. I don't think it's a good. I think just keep it with Commanders, please. Like I can't go through this again.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Unless they come up with something, like, incredible,
Hmm.
like, which I don't think they'll do. Because if you go
No.
back and you look at the names that were submitted for the
Hmm.
Commanders, like,
The
my
monuments. We are
the
we
monuments
really were almost named the Washington Monuments. Like I can't even. Like that
see,
was.
my favorite was the Demon Cats.
I didn't even hear that one. Yeah.
The Demon Cats, yeah. That I think it got knocked out in, like, one of the first rounds of voting,
Hmm.
but it was
Probably.
such a funny concept, like, I don't think the NFL would have approved it because I don't know if they're gonna
Mhm.
let a team have the word demon in their name because no fun league,
Yeah.
but it yeah, the naming I did like, Commanders was probably the safest and
Hmm.
most, like, NFL name, if that makes sense, that they could have
Hmm.
went with. So, I don't see a problem with it, I think it's fine. It
Yeah.
doesn't blow you away, but it's got history to it, it's got meaning to it, it's safe enough. You got a fun little nickname in the Washington Commies, which I don't know how you feel about that, but it's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the one thing like besides like the commies thing, like the Commanders are the only three-syllable team to not have like a short version. So like you got the Patriots being the Pats, you have
Mhm.
the I can't think of another one. Oh, the Cardinals being the Cards,
The
like
Bucks being or the Buccaneers being the
Buccaneers
Bucks.
being the Bucks.
Yeah.
So like the Commanders, they don't really have one, so it's kind of a long name.
Mhm.
But besides, that's really picky and stuff. It's not really, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, you can start calling yourselves the Comms.
the comms, yes, the comms, the Washington comms. That's great, great idea. But we got on the like subject of branding and all that last last season against the Browns, we came out with the mascot, and they had this entire process for it, where it's just like you pick the name and you pick the animal. It was down between a dog and a hog, and we now see it's a pig now, but that wasn't really the greatest reveal, I would say, in the world. I feel
I
like they
didn't
could
even
have
know what
done
happened.
better. Yeah, we just have a pig now as our mascot, so
Well,
I know it goes back to
that's
the
fitting.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it goes back to the history, but still, it's not that great. It was like the entrance and stuff was so anticlimactic during the game when they
Is it
announced
at
it.
least like a pig dressed like a general?
No, it's just a pig dressed in a football uniform.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's disappointing.
and not even just any football, but like a white away game uniform, so it like even looks worse because like it's just so
That's
generic.
that's so odd.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was hoping like if it was a hog, it would be like a general or whatever,
Yeah, if it
too.
was a hog
But
dressed like George Washington, like, yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
works.
yeah. But no, it's just a hog in in like a away jersey. It's yeah.
That's so odd.
Hmm.
That's so, so odd. God, I mean, hey, maybe they'll fix it now.
Maybe
Maybe
they'll
they'll
fix it.
see this episode right here.
Yes.
Josh Harris is out there watching Commanders videos,
Hmm.
and he'll be like, "Hey, hog in a general uniform, that's not a bad idea."
Yeah, that's I think that's what a lot of fans thought it would be when
Mhm.
like they because it was kind of obvious towards the end of the polls and whatever that it was going to be a hog. But yeah, it was just a hog in like a it's not even like he's in a helmet either. It's like
He's just
half of the
wearing the
helmet.
jersey?
He's just wearing the jersey. Hold on, let me search it up. But it's just okay. No, okay, okay. So it's like a he's wearing a commander's, not a commander's, but like a general soldier helmet type thing. I
Okay.
did forget about that. But then the jersey he's wearing is just white and just says commanders across it,
Oh, that's
and
Oh,
that's
I
it.
see him now. Ew.
Yeah.
Why does he look like that?
Not only that, but his name is Major Tuddy.
I kinda like the name.
The name is okay. I've
I'm
gotten
rocking with
used
the
to it.
name.
I've gotten used to it, but
Why is he so fat?
yeah, it's just
That's the other thing.
no him running onto the field because I was at the game when like they announced him. Him running onto the field, it was so funny. They did it like during halftime or whatever, and it was during the important like Browns Commanders game, the one where Carson Wentz like came in towards the end of the
Mhm.
season and they made him start or whatever. And so like the intensity was high and everything, and then you just see this thing running off and running around the field at halftime. It was the reveal or whatever was not that great, but
Oh.
again, like it's a mascot. It's not really
I think Yeah, I think if they just made him into, like, a full-blown general and
that.
had
Hmm.
him,
Exactly.
do a little cardio,
Yep.
he wouldn't be a half bad mascot, honestly. Like, I
Yep.
see they've got the seeds planted for a decent mascot, they
Yeah.
just haven't executed yet.
Yep.
We're almost 15 minutes into this, and all we've done is
And
talk
yeah,
about
we
a
don't want to
goddamn mascot.
talk. Yeah, that's true.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Dan Snyder being gone is
Hmm.
the highlight of this season. Like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but even if this season doesn't meet whatever expectations this fan base has for it, I think the fact that it's going to be the first post Snyder season is
Hmm.
a win in and of itself.
Yeah, it's like I know the Arizona game has it's already like packed. It's supposedly almost sold out, but again, that was like the
First game of the
president.
season?
Yeah, the first game of the season.
Okay,
Like
I just want to make sure.
yeah, it was like the week one game or whatever. But the president said or president of the team said that it's almost sold out. So again, who knows if that's true or not, or he's just trying to sell tickets or whatever. But it really seems like it's gonna be packed week one. And then also something that like has come up too is Josh Harris, fans are gonna be happy this season, no matter what.
Mhm.
Now, if we like truly stink, then it'll take it down a little bit. But like you said, no matter what, Dan Snyder's gone and you have this period of time, this honeymoon period for Josh
Mhm.
Harris. But like after the season, he's got to get to work. Like, this honeymoon period isn't going to last forever. And I don't even know if it's going to last a year. This fan base will be wanting a new stadium. It's going to
Yeah,
be pressuring him to change the name. Some people, it's like the FedEx Field is falling apart right now.
yeah.
Like they want the stadium to not fall apart and have upgrades to it, which he's already upgraded the stadium, new video board, sound system, and everything, which is
Did
great.
he fix the piping?
I've not heard about that, but I'm hoping he
Okay,
did.
interesting.
So
Yeah, because I wanna
yeah,
go, to the Bears Commanders game this year. I'm gonna
yeah,
try
the
to
Thursday
go,
night one.
and I'm kind of afraid to go.
Yeah, I
Not
don't
gonna
think.
lie, I'm afraid to step foot in that field.
Yeah, yeah, just one step on that field and you're gonna tear your ACL. They
Yeah,
need to redo the entire thing there. But
yeah.
I know in like the media rooms and stuff, I've seen media people say this. Like the press box has gotten so many more upgrades. The soda machine is working now, which is huge. And
Wow,
they actually get like food there as well, complimentary food.
that's
So
crazy.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great.
that that poor guy, he's a fucking billionaire, but, like,
Yeah.
that poor guy is inheriting probably the worst job in all of sports, being the owner of the Commanders
Yeah.
after Dan Snyder, but on the flip side, it's also probably gonna be the most rewarding, because if he
Mhm.
does like, the little stuff, like you were just saying, making the
Yeah.
soda machine work, the way you just talked about that, that's absurd. Like,
Yeah.
from the outside looking in, that's the bare minimum.
Yep.
And he did it, which granted, Dan Snyder did not do. So, like, you guys are getting excited over the bare minimum, and I think it's wonderful that you have that. I'm so happy for your fan
Mhm.
base.
Yep. Perfect
Um,
soda machines
yeah, but
already.
it's so funny. It's so funny. Like, I think the fact that you have an owner that isn't a complete sicko is like such a win.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you said, it's just him being an average owner or
Mhm.
even slightly below average, but like not even being like a bottom 10 owner just for this year. And Commanders fans will be over the moon. Like,
Yeah, you have literally
yeah,
nowhere to go but up.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, you were in the basement by a wide margin, and
hmm
now even if you're still in the basement, I think you're gonna be happy because at least you're
Yeah.
not, like, in the back corner of the basement sitting in a puddle of water
Just in the
with a
corner.
loincloth on like your Gollum from Lord of the Rings or something. Like, that's the Commanders under Dan Snyder. Now it's like you've made your way up the steps, you're chilling in the kitchen or something, and
Yeah.
you're cooking a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're starting to cook. We're starting to cook a little bit. So
Exactly.
it's been great to see so far. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just overall the owner change and everything has been wonderful
Mhm.
for the fan base.
Yeah. And then the other big announcement, for the Commanders this offseason,
hmm
Sam Howell is the
Yep.
starter going into the 2023 NFL season. How do we feel about that?
We have changed a little bit about this. So when he was my quarterback 5, I believe, in the 2022 draft, I was pretty low on him at the time. I know like Nico was pretty high on him and some other people, but I didn't really think he was that good. Um, and I really didn't believe him at all. Like believe in him during last year as well. Came in week 18, won the game, and if we lost that game, we would have had like the 10th overall pick or something, which again at this point doesn't really matter. But I was a little bit mad that we won that game as well because it put us from like 10th overall pick to 16th or something like that, which is huge difference. And we could have made a play at a quarterback as well in the draft. So again, you can't really go back to that. But yeah, I've changed my mind on him. I've gone to training camp like every day for the last 3 weeks, and he's looking he's looking good. He's looking very
Good.
good. I'm excited. He is looking a lot more comfortable during this year's training camp than he did last year. The improvements have been astronomical in my opinion from the first day he stepped on the practice field to now like during the Cleveland game against the Commanders in week 1 of the preseason. I mean, he made some mistakes, took a sack that he didn't need to or whatever, but like the flashes are there. The flashes are there. And I know we'll get probably a little bit more into this later, but with Eric Bieniemy coming in, I am very very excited about Sam Howell. And I think that I don't want to say he can be the franchise quarterback yet, but I am leaning towards that by a lot. Like I'm definitely leaning towards him being the future. I
Mhm.
think he can be, and I think a lot of people right now are underrating him, just writing him off as a 5th round backup quarterback for
Well,
the
he should
next
have never
3
been a
years.
5th round pick.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the
I
thing.
I mean, yeah, looking back at it, well, I whatever had like a grade around like the third or fourth round, or fourth, maybe fifth round. I forgot what I had, but I remember I had him at QB5, and I was low on him. But even when we took him in the fifth round, I was like, okay, be it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Like fifth round value for a guy that was arguably going to be the number one overall pick before his the junior season or whatever his last season was in
Right.
college. Like he was arguably going to be he's going to be a top 10 pick before that season. So it's been a pretty wild journey in terms of how much I believed in Sam Howell over this last year and a half. But I feel like I'm very more confident in him now than I was a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I mean, okay, you saw my tweet right
Mm-hmm.
before we went on.
Right.
I went back and I was watching the tape. I was watching a little bit of what he did last year when he saw the field. I was watching a little bit of UNC in his final year, and then I watched a little bit of UNC the year before. And this wasn't something that I just like was pulling together today. I started doing this earlier in the week, and then I was kind of doing like the finishing touches this morning. And it's so apparent when you go back and look at him in 2020 versus 2021
Yep.
that North Carolina's coaching staff, I'm a North Carolina fan, kind of.
I didn't.
Like
Okay. Yeah.
I'm more of a basketball fan than a football fan for college sports. So
I
I'm a
see.
big UNC basketball fan. And then for football, it's kind of like the default, right?
Okay. Yeah.
What are you, a Duke fan or something?
No. I'm just saying bandwagon. Much is the
Hey, I
UNC
was
basketball
born
fan.
into it. I was born
Okay.
into it. All
Okay.
right.
All right. All
All
right.
right. Yeah, I remember the Tyler Zeller days. That's my favorite college basketball player of all time. All right.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. How dare you question me? I'm a fucking Bears fan. You
I
think
didn't
I have
even know. Yeah, I didn't even
bandwagoning
know he
in
was
my soul?
UNC. I didn't know you were a UNC fan. Like, and you live in
Because I don't
Maryland
talk
too.
about it
I
that
don't.
much. Because I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, you
I'm
just
more
show up in
casual than
March when they
anything.
make that a run. You just show up in March, like when they start winning
Shut up.
games.
Shut up. Who do you think you are coming on my podcast or video, whatever this is at this point? Anyways, point is, you look at what North Carolina did with him between 2020 and 2021, and they kind of put him in a really bad spot
Yep.
draft wise. Because in 2020, he was doing everything you want to see out of a quarterback prospect, right? He was reading the field really well. He was maneuvering the pocket. He was making a lot of tough throws. He was showing off the arm talent. And then in 2021, they said, okay, we lost a lot of our dynamic playmakers. Let's simplify this offense down to its most basic roots. And everyone looked at that as, oh, Sam Howell can't execute a more complex offense because there was a lot of RPOs. He was running the ball a lot. And that's kind of what that offense became under Sam Howell.
Yep.
And so that completely tanked his draft stock. As you mentioned, after 2020, he was looked at as like the top pick in the draft potentially. 2021, he ends up as a fifth round pick. So I really have a lot of confidence in him. I've been putting together like an all agenda team, so to speak, and I
Yep.
think he's gonna end up being the quarterback on it. Like I
Okay.
am so
Okay. I
high on
like
Sam
this.
Howell right now. Yeah,
I like this.
the physical talent is there, the arm talent's there, the mobility's there. He can move in the pocket a little bit. Like he's accurate. That's the other big thing. He's not one of these inaccurate quarterbacks with a big arm. Like he can hit tough throws. So I think, like you mentioned, especially working with Eric Bieniemy, that Sam Howell can be something special. Like I think at the very least he can be like a Kirk Cousins tier quarterback where he's like right outside the top 10. But if he's that
This team's
with
making the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
just that.
yeah. And not only that, but if he's that with the physical attributes he has, the ceiling's even higher. Because you imagine Kirk Cousins with a strong arm and mobility would be like a top 10 quarterback right now, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
I think Sam Howell can be a really, really good NFL quarterback. I'm not guaranteeing it or anything. Obviously, he has some room to grow, but his first year of starting, being in this new culture, in this new environment that's going to be overwhelmingly positive, that's going to be a lot better. All the toxicity is gone. All the bad juju is gone. It's just him and Eric Bieniemy getting to cook with some great offensive weapons, including one of his teammates that was a big part of why he was so good in 2020 in De'Ami Brown.
Yep.
He has a pretty okay offensive line. He has a great defense on the other side of the ball. Like he has all of the tools to cook. He has all of the ingredients. He just needs to put it
Yes.
together. And I think Eric Bieniemy is the perfect guy to pull that out of him. So I really do think Sam Howell's going to be really nice for you guys. Maybe not this year. It might take a year or two, but you said you're kind of hesitant to call him the franchise guy. I think he's going to be
Yeah.
the franchise guy for Washington. I'm
Okay.
pretty confident in that.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I'd love to, like. Don't get me wrong. I love if he's the franchise guy,
No,
and
I get
that's
it. I
great.
get it.
But you mentioned you don't think it will happen this year, or then it would happen like in years to come. If it doesn't happen this year, I don't think Ron Rivera is the Washington Commanders head coach in 2024.
Well, I mean, I
And
don't think he puts it all together. Like, I think you're going to
yeah,
see, I probably should have explained that a little bit better. I think you'll see like a playoff caliber team under Sam
okay,
Howell this year. I just don't think you're looking at him as like peak Sam Howell. I think you're
okay,
looking at him at the end
okay,
of the year like, okay, he took the strides he needed to. Now let's pull it all together and really get
mhm,
him where he needs to be. Like
yeah,
I think this is more of a going in the right direction, trending upward type of year and not a, okay, this guy is him. He is the
yeah,
answer. I think it's, he showed that he can be. Let's see if he can pull it all together. I should have
yeah.
explained that better. That's on me.
Well, even to that point, like, what are you saying? Like, they just missed out on the playoffs,
I
probably.
think I mean, the NFC
All
sucks.
right.
I could see them being the 6 or 7 seed.
Then that'd probably mean that if you think the Giants would get in, that'd probably mean all four NFC East teams would get in.
I don't
Which
think the Giants get in.
okay, that's good. All right.
Yeah,
I think
that's
they're
kind
okay.
of the
That's
thing. I don't think the Giants get
yeah.
in. I think the
I don't
Commanders will
think
be
they get
better
in
than the
either.
Giants.
Me too, but again, there's some people. But um I do think like Ron Rivera's seat right now is the hottest out of any quarterback. I tweeted this earlier today, I think. But
Sure.
right now in the NFL, if they don't make the playoffs, if they just miss out like they have for the past 2 seasons, um that he's gone. Like
Hmm.
there's we haven't had a winning record with him in whenever he's our head coach. Like last year, we literally win 500 in a 17 game season. We went 500. Like
Hmm.
how is that possible? And so, I mean, like if we don't make the playoffs, it's over for him and it's over for Sam Howell as well. Because I don't think whoever our new head coach is, unless it's Eric Bieniemy, which is a possibility. But and if it's not Eric Bieniemy and Bieniemy moves on to a different team or whatever, then I think Howell's time as being possibly like a future starting quarterback for us, at least for us, would probably be up. And then we either draft one in the draft or I don't know, hopefully not trade for one again, but
Trade
yeah,
for
we
Kirk.
trade back for Kirk. Yeah, that'd
Hmm.
definitely be the move. Well, no, I think he's a free agent after this year. So
No, the Vikings will find a way to extend for another year.
yeah, they'll
They
franchise
just
tag him,
they
whatever.
just keep kicking the can down the road with
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
They don't know how to let go.
I mean, he's better than a lot of other quarterbacks in the NFL
No,
right
for
now.
sure,
So
for sure.
I mean, but it is hit the time is definitely going to run up at some point for
Mhm.
Minnesota. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Sam Howell definitely can be the franchise quarterback. Again, I'm still a little bit worried about if he will be able to or if he will get the chance to because this offensive line, I don't know if you want to talk the offensive line more about that later or now
I mean,
or
go ahead, by
okay.
all means.
Yeah, this offensive line absolutely is doo-doo garbage. It stinks. It's like it's bad. It's bad. I can't even play Madden with this offensive line. It's horrible. Like it's bad. Charles Leno, we signed him. He had like a really solid year in 2021. Signed him to an extension, a, a pretty big extension actually, and then he absolutely is just garbage last year. And he's
Yeah, I
getting
remember
older.
the Bears
You're a
fans
Bears
pushing
fan,
narratives
yeah,
after
yeah, I know,
2021, like, why
yeah,
did we let Charles Leno go? He's so
yo,
good. He could have been the answer at left tackle. Like, no, he's
no,
very inconsistent, and
hmm
you saw that last year.
yes, he wasn't even like. I mean, he was. Yeah, I think inconsistent's a good word. He basically like lost us that or yeah, he lost us that one Giants game
Mhm.
with the
He
Kayvon
will do that.
Thibodeau. Yeah. It was pretty bad. But then, like, I mean, going across the offensive line, we don't even know who our left guard is going to be this year, whether it be Sadiq Charles or will it be 2022 seventh round pick Chris Paul or sixth round pick Chris Paul. It's going to be one of them, and I'm not really that high on either of them. So that's not good. Center, Nick Gates hasn't looked great in training camp so far. Like, it's not
Yikes.
been. as good as I was hoping, and we gave him definitely a good amount of money, more than I thought you would get by a team this year. So he hasn't looked great. I mean, blocking, he's been fine, but like in terms of snaps or whatever with Howell, he's been airing some over his head. He's been low on some. That definitely could be a problem. And then backing up Nick Gates, Ricky Stromberg, the third round pick this year,
Hmm.
is having the same problem, and he's been worse than
Really?
Gates. So
That's
it
tough, man.
yeah, both of them
I
haven't
take
looked.
back my okay offensive line comment. You've
Oh
convinced me
yeah,
they're doo-doo dog
no,
water.
yeah, we haven't even gone to that right side. Well, actually, no, the right side is fine. The
I
right
was gonna say
side
the
is
right side
fine.
I think is okay.
Yeah,
I like
this
Cosme, and I think
Cosme,
Wiley's
yeah.
okay enough.
Cosme looked great during the game against the Browns. Wiley had two
Another
holding
potential
penalties.
all agenda team member, Sam Cosme.
Yeah, he especially his move to right guard. Again, he was drafted to
Hmm.
be right tackle, but at right guard, he's looked incredible so far in training camp. Andrew Wiley, he's been all right. Like he had the two holding penalties in the game against the Browns, but
Yeah,
like he's been all right. It hasn't been amazing, that's for sure.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's somebody who last year, started off pretty rough.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know if you remember, but he was letting up a lot of pressures early on in
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Yep.
And then kind of as the year went on, he started to get better and better and better. And then he played his best game of the season in the
In the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl. Yep.
So I'm hoping Eric Bieniemy knows what he's cooking there with him at right
Mhm.
tackle. Like as long as he's okay, obviously right tackle when you have a quarterback that isn't a lefty is probably like one of the lesser positions on the line.
Yep.
I don't know. That might be really ignorant to say. I'm sure there's going to be
I mean,
somebody in the comments yelling at me about
yeah.
offensive line hierarchies, but like
Yeah.
I think you can get away with a guy like him at right tackle,
Mhm.
who's just fine. He doesn't blow you away, but he's doing his job most of the time. There's going to be
Yep.
hiccups, but
And
like I said, I'm really excited about Sam Cosme, though. I think he's going to be a stud. And then the left side of that line, maybe this will be a good
they
Leno
started
year.
on that. Maybe it will. Maybe it's time for
Maybe.
another good Leonard year. Was he good in 2019? We can keep the pattern going.
I don't
We'll
remember. It's been
yeah,
so long.
but
Um,
yeah, it's
yeah.
it's not great. Yeah, Hal himself, he's done a great job at evading pressure. He did
Hmm.
that really well in the Cleveland game. Besides the one sack on the first drive or whatever, besides that, like he was doing a really good job at evading pressure, which is great because he's going to need to do that this year if this offense wants to move the football. So that's well, at least move the football through the air. So yeah.
Yeah. It's tough with the offensive line because like I was looking at it on paper, before we
Hmm.
we started recording. And I was like, okay, it looks like it can be okay.
No.
But I obviously trust your judgment when it comes
Yeah.
to these guys, and if you're this low on them, I'm a little scared.
Hmm.
Um, I still have faith in Sam. I still think, like you said, he's good at maneuvering through the pocket and evading pressure.
Yep.
And I think that'll be huge for him this year. Especially, we look at this team last year and we'll get more into the numbers, but this was a team that was heavy in running bootlegs last year. And
Hmm.
I don't expect that to change despite bringing in a new offensive coordinator because that takes so much pressure off of the quarterback. And especially with the run game, again, we'll talk about that I think can be pretty damn good next year. I think that will be huge if we're running him on because Howe can move, obviously. So
Yep.
you put him on bootlegs, you get him out of the pocket a little bit and let him cook there. I think that'll take a lot of the pressure off him, a lot of the pressure off the offensive line. So I'm hoping that's something they utilize. I'm hoping that's something they do. But hearing you talk about the left side of that line does not inspire confidence, especially the centers. If you have two centers on your team and they're both sailing snaps over his head, that's
Well,
scary. That
yeah,
is really scary.
I will say during the game it didn't happen, but like in practices and training camp it has happened. So we'll see tonight or whatever.
Maybe you just got two
But
centers who know how to show up when the lights are
yeah, when
brightest.
they show up when the lights are bright, they know how to show up. So
That's all it is.
yeah,
That's all it is.
yep, yep,
They don't care about practice. They're the Allen Iversons of centers, okay?
yeah,
They don't care.
yep, yep.
Yeah, it's tough with this offensive line.
Hmm.
I'm definitely worried about the left side of it now, more so than I was coming into this. Um,
But yeah, I mean, the offensive line. So the line against Cleveland did pretty well, like better
okay.
than I thought. Even looking back at the film and stuff, because when I was watching the game for the first time live, man, I that offensive line was scary bad. But then looking back at it, there were pieces on it that were okay. Leno and Wiley were not so great, but Chris Paul did a great job at left guard. Sadiq Charles
Okay.
didn't play that game because he's been hurt or whatever. But Cosme did a great job as well at right guard. So like the interior, again, Nick Gates showed up when the lights were brightest. So like the interior has been fine. Like the tackles though has been just like horrendous at times. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's tough. That's really
Mhm.
tough.
Yeah. Like even
Um
why sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead and finish. I
I
was
was just
gonna
saying,
move
like,
on.
yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling about how
No,
bad this
you're fine. You're
offensive line was,
fine.
but even Wiley, like on the safety, he was holding. We were cheating, and yet the guy still beat him
He
when he
got
was
beat
holding.
while holding a
While
safety?
holding, no, not a safety. Sorry,
Oh, when you guys let
when
up
we
a
when
safety,
we
that's
let up
right.
the
I
safety,
forgot that
yeah, yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Okay.
But
I was
he
gonna
was
say, if
holding,
he's holding a safety and got
yeah,
beat, dear God,
yeah. It's
that's a
no, but yeah,
cuttable offense.
yeah, he was holding and he still got beat and then let up the safety. So
That's
it's
tough.
yeah, it was bad. But yeah,
That's really tough.
that's all I got on the offensive line. It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting tonight, that's for sure.
But moving off of that and just over to, what the Commanders did last season. This is a team that,
Mhm.
as you mentioned, despite it being a 17 game season, went exactly 500 at
Yeah,
8-1, putting them at 4th in the NFC East. They were 4-5 at home, 4-3-1 on the road, and then 1-3-1 in their last 5 games. So didn't quite end on a hot streak. But, there's optimism for the future. We, we,
yes.
we spent 30 minutes talking about that. Like, that's the big thing here. There's a lot of optimism for the Commanders, I feel like. Even
Mhm.
if Sam Howell's not the guy, even if Ron Rivera gets fired after this season, it physically can't get worse than it has
Yeah,
been.
yeah.
Um, but
So
looking at some of the numbers, specifically the EPA per play stats, I've been looking at that a lot with this EPA per play and scoring. This is a team that was 23rd in rushing EPA per play, 23rd in passing EPA per play, 3rd in run defense, 10th in coverage, and then in points, they were 24th in points scored with 321, 26th in points allowed with 343, and then 21st in point differential with a negative 22. So out of those numbers, which of those stands out to you the most?
I think definitely the 23rd in like in rushing because this team is built to run the football and
Mm-hmm.
yet we can't even be top half of the league. Like seriously. But like
Yeah,
we're actually I know Brian Robinson wasn't fully healthy for the entire year, and Antonio Gibson, like, come on, man, like this team was built to run the football. Ron even said it himself. He wants that 2-to-1 run pass ratio or whatever at one point last season, which made fans go absolutely bonkers. But
how
um,
dare you say that?
yeah,
In the year of our Lord 2022, we're talking about
well,
running the ball more than we're
yeah,
passing the ball.
exactly. I was
That's why
listening
I
to
love Ron Rivera.
yeah, this man is stuck in like 1980. I swear
I
sometimes.
love it.
But I was listening to a podcast earlier as well, and they were saying, um, like they pride themselves in running the football, but like I said, they can't do it. Where's the offense coming from then? You're just going to run the football. Like we ran the football more times than we passed it on 1st and 10 last year. Like that's where we are. With I mean, again, we don't have Scott Turner now. We have Eric Bieniemy, and I feel like we're going to pass the
That
ball
is
more
going
on
to
first
be
down.
flipped on its head.
This is going, yes, it's not going to be like that this year. But last year, my God, man, that we were running the ball like, wow, great, 2nd and 9, good stuff. We got 1 yard, and then an incompletion makes it 3rd and 9. Like this is literally it was run, incompletion, and then incompletion. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
how every drive went last year, and it was
Yeah.
just again I don't know, but like sometimes just the play calling was just uh, and
Yeah.
horrendous. Like, yeah,
Well, in defense
it's gonna
of
get better.
the
It's gonna,
Commanders' offense, it's definitely going to get better
yeah,
for sure. But to play devil's advocate for a moment, it was tough to have an offense last year when you're relying on Carson Wentz, Taylor Heineke, a running back who got shot multiple times leading into the season,
hmm
and then a running back who's really just a glorified wide receiver playing in the backfield, and then a literal wide receiver
so
playing
you're
in the
playing running
backfield.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
that that was your backfield, and also Alex Arma, who we love and respect.
Wasn't even on the
Um,
team.
he wasn't. I
No?
thought he played at the very, very end of the
Oh,
year for
maybe he
you
played
guys.
the very last game
I was gonna say, I
against
thought he was there for the last
Dallas.
game.
Yeah,
Okay.
we elevated a lot of people for that last game.
Okay,
But
makes sense. Yeah, I
yeah,
was gonna say I could have swore I saw him suit up for the Commanders last year.
yeah.
But anyways, primarily Wentz, Heineke, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, and Curtis Samuel.
Mhm,
That was the backfield. And all due respect to Brian Robinson, I think he's going to be good. I have a lot of faith in him. But again, like you said, he was not playing healthy.
mhm.
And Antonio Gibson is the bane of my existence
Yeah,
as far as
that
running
man,
backs
man.
go. I'm glad I'm not the only one that doesn't like him.
Yeah.
I was
I
very
lo
worried I was going to come on here and insult him, and you were going to be like, he's not that bad.
okay, but his rookie season, like, that was fun. Like, I loved him,
Hmm.
and then he's just fallen off the, like, face of the planet, like, after
Yeah.
that. He's just been horrible, so we'll
Yeah,
see, but
he doesn't have any of the traits of like a real running back. Like his
exactly.
vision's lacking,
Yeah,
his contact balance isn't there. He doesn't
he fumbles
handle,
the
he's
football.
he fumbles a lot. He's not somebody that can break a lot of tackles. Like I said, he is
Mhm,
a wide receiver, a
yeah.
glorified wide receiver
They
playing in the
wanna
backfield.
they play him in the backfield, but Ron Rivera wants to get him in open space, but they play him in the backfield.
Yeah,
Like
just line him up in the slot. At this
exactly.
point, put Curtis Samuel at
And the
halfback and
he
let
was
Antonio
playing better.
Gibson.
He was rushing
Yeah,
better than Antonio
right.
Gibson last year.
That's my point. Yeah. Like, if you really want a second running back that can be a threat out of the backfield, I'm not saying move Curtis Samuel to full-time running back because that's
Mhm.
wasting his talents, but like make him that and let Antonio Gibson be the slot receiver.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a lot better off. And then let Brian Robinson just shoulder a lot of it. And then also you drafted the kid out of Kentucky, right? Chris
Oh, yeah,
Rodriguez.
he's been so good.
Yeah, there you go.
Been incredible.
There's your real RB2. You
Yeah.
got Brian Robinson as the RB1. Let Curtis Samuel be your Debo, and then just make Antonio Gibson a straight up slot receiver.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
fixed the Commanders' offense. You're welcome.
In, like, 20 seconds, and Scott Turner
Yeah,
couldn't do it in 3 years, so we're
exactly.
here. We're here.
Exactly.
Yep.
Washington, if you're listening, hire me. I
Hire him,
will
bro.
work for very little. $20 an hour. That's all I'm asking. Um,
Yeah.
I actually don't know wage scales. I don't know what that is compared to the rest of the
I
league. I'm very bad at money. I've never had a real job.
yeah.
um, but anyways, the point is like, yeah, it was a tough year for the Commanders offense. So tough that I have been looking, like at splits and stuff for this
Mhm.
team in terms of the scheme. I didn't write down any of the passing stuff because it's all redundant.
Yep.
Like it was just awful. That's what you need to know. It was bad. It was not good, and Eric Bieniemy is going to fix it.
Yeah.
That's all we need to say about it. You had Carson Wentz at quarterback,
And then you had Taylor
and
Heineke.
and
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke. Yeah, that's all. Even Taylor Heineke's plot armor couldn't
Yeah.
save this
He
team's
was
offense.
his dog in him couldn't do it, man.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The it factor, if you will, it
Uh-huh.
couldn't save the Commanders' offense. Um, but looking at the run game, I'm actually really intrigued by what they were putting together schematically. Now, it wasn't executed well, but schematically, this is a team that kind of dipped into a little bit of everything. They didn't have anything they were super reliant on. And that's great because it keeps defenses on their toes. Like when you're a defense and you're playing against a team like the 49ers or the Dolphins or whatever, like, hey, this team's going to run a lot of outside zone.
Yep.
So we're going to focus towards that. Sure, they're going to hit you with power. They're going to hit you with counters, like the counter punch to that. And you're probably going to get your ass beat by it. But you
Mhm.
know what they're leaning towards.
Yep.
The Commanders, though, they kept teams on their toes. They were 12th in outside zone with 28% of their rushing plays being outside zone. They were 12th in inside zone with 24%. They were 13th in duo with 18%. They were tied for 22nd in power with 6%. Tied for 10th in counter, with 8%. They were tied for 15th in draw plays with 2%. And they were tied for 25th in pin and pull plays with 3%. So they relied on inside zone, outside zone, duo, and counter. Like that's
Yeah.
4 different types of fronts that you have to worry about as a defense. And that's scary because you come out, you're fitting duo, for example, right?
Mhm.
You've got your guys lined up in a way to run duo. Then boom, you've got whoever, I'm going to say Chris Rodriguez for this year, just because
Yep.
he's probably the quickest back in the backfield, hitting you on outside zone, and you don't know what's happening to you. Or you come out in a bare front to fit zone run play. They hit you with counter. They're 25 yards up the field before you even know what happened.
Yeah.
Like this run game on paper can be really good. So it makes sense why Ron Rivera is like, this is a team that's built around the run. This is an offense that's built around the run, at least. This is a team that's built around defense, but we'll get to that.
Mm.
So schematically, I think it can be really exciting. And the good thing is, too, if you look at the Chiefs every year that Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator, they switch it up too. They never prioritize the same type of run game, 2 years in a row. There were years where they were a zone team. There were years where they were using gap concepts. There were years where they did a little bit of everything. There were years where they did a little bit of nothing. Like, they did everything. So I think Eric Bieniemy is going to look at these numbers, just like we're looking at them right now, and see, oh, okay, I can keep doing what I've been doing.
Mhm.
And if Brian Robinson's healthy, if Chris Rodriguez, can be a solid RB2, and they get Antonio Gibson out of the goddamn backfield, they can cook. They can
Yeah.
really cook, and they can be this run-oriented football team that Ron Rivera wants them to be. And that's going to take a hell of a lot of the pressure off Sam Howell.
Mhm. Yeah, if we can run the ball, then Sam Howell, yeah, like you said, the pressure is going to be off of him, and he can do more of his. I know Eric Bieniemy has implemented the quick game a lot in practice and in the game against the Browns, and it worked out a lot. Like, it was one read, he's going to be open. You know he's going to be open. Just fire it to him again. Pick up a 4 yards. Pick up a 5 yards. Pick up a 4 yards again. First down. Like, it was just quick stuff. And then you can hand it off to Brian Robinson, who I think is going to have an even better year than he did last year. I know some people are saying, oh, he wasn't efficient last year. He was only averaging like 3 yards per carry. Maybe it was
He
even
got
less than that.
shot.
He got shot like in his leg. He didn't have
Yeah.
any. Yeah. And also, like seeing that training camp and stuff, he's a lot more slim, a lot more lean than he was last year. It looked like
Valid.
he's more elusive. He's quicker. They've been using him like he's been running out of the backfield and catching passes as well in open space.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm just gonna say, like, there's a lot of different things that they've been doing with Brian Robinson so far. They've been like, I think this is Brian Robinson is what they wanted Antonio Gibson to be, but he wasn't. Like,
Which I love.
he's been doing, yeah, Robinson's been doing everything. Like, he's been, yeah, like I said, he's even been receiving stuff out of the backfield, which has been pretty crazy. And I think that's more of the quick game stuff, like the flats or whatever. But like,
Mhm.
he can make guys miss an open space as well.
Good. I'm glad, because I am rooting so hard for Brian Robinson, like a lot of people are. I'm not going to
Yeah.
act like I'm some sort of contrarian, but like I think a lot of people are out here rooting for Brian Robinson, and I think to give him any shit for last year is kind of crazy,
Mm-hmm.
considering him playing last year is a miracle in and of
Should have won
itself.
comeback player of the year. Just saying.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
won it last year?
Geno Smith.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Brian Robinson came back from getting shot. Gino came back from being a bad football player. Like,
Yeah. Like, are we
no
actually?
disrespect to Gino, he had a great year, but I kind of agree. Not to get too off topic, but I was
Mhm.
someone who was kind of confused by what they were trying to define as a comeback, because he didn't
Yeah,
come
I
back from
agree.
anything.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah. He came
Like,
back from being bad.
yeah, to come back from something, you had to
He
be
just
somewhere to
improved.
begin with. Yeah,
Exactly.
if the
Yeah.
NFL had a most improved player, by all means, you
He'd be
know,
it. Yeah.
yeah, but a comeback, no. Like, comeback is Alex Smith
Coming
leg
back from,
almost
yeah.
exploding and not thinking he'd ever play again, and then him actually playing. Comeback
Mm.
player of the year is Damar Hamlin almost
Yeah.
dying on a football field and then coming back out and playing again.
Yeah.
It's not Geno Smith, like you said, sucking and then being good. It's not a comeback. But yeah,
Mhm.
it should have been Brian Robinson. He came back from getting shot.
Yep.
That's pretty damn impressive, especially
Mhm.
considering he got shot in the leg and he's a running back. He kind of needs those.
Yes. Yeah, maybe.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they might be a little important to what
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah, just
But
maybe.
yeah, I think this offense can be really nice this year. Again, I love the weapons. Jahan Dotson,
Mhm.
somebody that I
Okay.
am big
Yeah.
on. I love Jahan
Okay.
Dotson.
We need to talk about him.
Okay,
This man.
okay.
Yeah, this man, Jahan Dotson. I've been spreading this agenda now for a little bit. I think first of all, he's going to outperform numbers wise Terry McLaurin this year, 100%.
Ooh,
He's
okay.
going to have more yards. He's going to have more touchdowns, but he's still. I feel like after this year, he's going to be in that Jalen Waddle tier of receivers. He's going to
Wow,
be
okay.
a top 5, like, wide receiver 2 or whatever on a team. And I don't think people are going to be saying that. I think people are going to be saying, "Oh, Terry McLaurin's worse because we're the Washington Commanders." So
Yeah.
they're going to be saying they're going to drop McLaurin in their rankings, and they're not going to make Dotson go higher. So, but yeah, Dotson, his route running. I was looking at the reception perception numbers or whatever from Matt Harmon. Like he was green on every single one except one route, which he was, I think, red or yellow on. But like it was impressive. What he was doing last year, his route running and his release off the snap, so good for him just being where he's at in his career right now. It's so like in my opinion, he has a top like 10, maybe I would maybe even say top 5 release package in the NFL. Because the amount of separation that he can create off the snap compared to a guy like Terry McLaurin or any other receiver that we have on this team is just like otherworldly. Like he's, yeah. Plus his aura too is just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
that was
will
my
say, I'm somebody who, when he was coming out, I wasn't big on.
me too.
And
Yep.
I won't lie, I did let outside sources influence that a little bit. But I remember when the Commanders drafted him, I didn't like the pick. I wasn't very high on him. It took a year for me to eat my words. Like it was so quick, and he's so good. Better than George Pickens, by the way. I don't care what
Yeah.
anybody says.
I think he's
He's
the second best wide receiver from that draft as of now.
really the
Yeah.
second best.
Second best.
So over Olave then.
Over Olave, yep. I would say it's close though. It's
Interesting.
close.
Okay.
But he was on pace to win Offensive Rookie of the Year before he got injured, in my opinion.
Okay, fair.
So
Yeah,
like he
I
had
mean,
7 touchdowns in 12 games, 11 games last year.
okay.
So that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, I respect the take. I don't
And
I don't know if I agree. I'd have to think on it a little bit more, but he's definitely, him and Olave are 2 and 3 either way. Like
Yep.
he was awesome last year. I just want to throw George Pickens out there because, as we all know,
we
Steelers
need
fans
to.
think he is the second coming of Christ, and we need to settle down on that.
Yep.
Pickens good, but he has a lot of room to improve.
Yes.
Jahan Dotson, not so much. He just needs a full season of being healthy for people to be like, oh, okay, he's him. Like he is awesome.
Yep.
And out of curiosity, you didn't quite explain it. Why do you think he's going to outproduce Terry this year? I'm not saying you're wrong or that I disagree. I'm just curious what your reasoning is.
First off, like I said, his start to last season was absolutely electric. And then he got injured and he wasn't really the same when he came back. You could tell the injury was still bothering him or whatever. But yeah, first off, I know this is kind of like a obvious thing, but Terry's gonna go up against the cornerback 1, Jahan against the cornerback 2, right? So it's going to be like skill level wise, I think Jahan is better than most, or he's going to get open against most of the cornerback 2s in the NFL. And then second, like going to these training camps and stuff, Sam Howell loves him. Like the amount of targets that Jahan has gotten over Terry so far. I don't know if that's because like Terry's going up against Kendall Fuller and Jahan's going up against like Benjamin St. Juice or Emmanuel Forbes at times. But Jahan has gotten targeted a lot more than Terry has during the Browns game. Like I think he got targeted more than Terry was too, and plus that touchdown. Oh, that touchdown was chills against the Browns. Went up and caught it. Like I just feel like Jahan has such a high floor this year that it's going to allow him to get off to another hot start. Because I mean, look at the game against the Cardinals. Can you name the Cardinals cornerback too? Like it. It's that. Yeah, you got Marco Wilson and who else? There's literally no one there. So it's he's going to feast against the Cardinals week 1. Week 2 is going to be tougher with the Broncos, but like I mean, I'm still really high. This is part of my Commanders like fandom coming out a little bit, but like Jahan Dotson is just looking so good this year. It's yeah. That's probably my hottest take.
Like I said, he's him. Straight up. He's him.
Yes.
I hate that I was wrong about him, but I'm not afraid to admit it. And I'm kind of glad I was wrong about him because he's such a fun football player to watch. He's so good. The only thing that I don't like is I was going into last year, I was like, okay, Dotson's not going to be good, and that's going to open up De'Ami Brown, and he's going to take over. And then
Okay.
Dotson was really good, and I was like, "Oh no, Diami's stuck."
Yeah, he's stuck. Yeah.
So now my only hope is like Curtis Samuel's on the last year of his deal, right?
Yep.
That's my only hope
Yeah.
is that Curtis Samuel leaves and then
Mhm.
Diami slots in because I
Yeah.
want Diami to succeed, man. He's so fun. I love him.
Yeah.
Again, that's my UNC bias coming out, but he's like moving off of Jahan just to talk about Diami for a minute because I think you
Mhm.
beautifully illustrated what Jahan brings to the table. He's
Yep.
incredible. He's him.
Yep.
Diami might be the best like wide receiver four in football.
Mhm.
Like there are not a
Yeah.
lot of wide receiver fours that bring the explosiveness and the deep route running ability and just the deep ball tracking that he has.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any, to be
Okay.
totally honest. Like
Yeah.
I think he might be the most explosive, like downfield threat wide receiver for in football. And I really want to see that used more. Like, obviously, he's kind of been up and down in Washington. Like, he's had games where he's on. You look at that Titans game,
Yeah.
he
That was
was him.
okay. Yeah, but that was only that. I will say that the only I'm him game was just the Titans last year.
I
Like
know,
beyond that, he was invisible.
but it's also like he didn't get, it's not like he was getting a lot of
Mhm.
chances because of how
That's
good
true.
this receiver core is, right?
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what he is. He's just somebody that's stuck behind better guys. It's not like he sucks
Mhm.
and he's not getting PT because of that. It's just Curtis Samuel's incredibly consistent. Jahan was him last year. Terry's a top 10-ish receiver in the league right now. Like it's it's tough for him to get any PT.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping he finds his way onto the field a little bit because of his connection with Sam Howell. Maybe Eric Bieniemy draws up some four wide receiver, more spread packages, which I know is very taboo for me to, advocate for a spread package. But if it helps Diami get on the field, then God damn it, I'll make an exception. It's
Yeah.
he's just somebody I'm rooting hard for. And, there's probably a more likely scenario than not that he doesn't get on the field a whole lot. And honestly, if that happens, I can't be mad at the Commanders. I can't blame them.
Yeah.
Like him not being on the field isn't the end of the world, but my agenda is being pushed. I need Diami on the field more often.
Yeah. But
That
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this wide receiver core as a whole is awesome. It's a great group of guys.
I will say I feel like De'Ami Brown. Um, I feel like at least based off of what you said, I feel like he's a little bit overrated. Like, I mean, you talk about all the stuff he's done good, right? The deep route running, the ball tracking, all
I
of
know
that.
it's very inconsistent.
But yeah, like you haven't really seen it at all during the
I
season.
know.
Like besides
I
that one Titans
know.
game, which was just a wild because I mean Carson Wentz was throwing some dimes in that game, and then he didn't,
Mhm.
and we lost that game. But they're like, yeah, okay. But sorry, I was getting flashbacks of the end zone interception. Uh, but yeah, I mean Diami, wide receiver four, like beyond Terry, Jahan, and Curtis. And then yeah, I think Diami is like the solidified wide receiver four on that team. But then beyond that, I'm not really like I know these guys won't be getting that much playing time, but
Mhm.
beyond that, none of these guys really stand out to me. Yeah, now that we're on the topics of like wide receivers still, like Byron Pringle as our wide receiver five, which is all right. He made a good catch against the Browns, but like it doesn't move
He
me.
will do that from time to time. He will make a
Yeah.
good catch.
He'll make
Just
a good
one.
catch, just one. Yeah, he doesn't move me though. So, and then wide receiver six, we don't even know who it is who it's gonna be yet. I don't know if you've heard, but like it's down between Mitchell Tinsley, the wide receiver, the UDFA out of Penn State, Casimir Allen, UDFA out of UCLA, who's more of like a punt returner, kick returner, kind of
Mhm.
gadget guy, kind of like a Curtis Samuel in a way. Kind of did everything for UCLA, and then Dax Milne from last year, who was I'm a Dax Milne hater. I'm like the number one Dax Milne hater. It's
I'm gonna
crazy.
be honest, I literally only know who he is because he cucks,
Oh
Zach
yeah.
Wilson. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's the only thing I know he's done. Plus, he has a cool name. He's a
Yeah.
Mormon named Dax, like, that's kinda
Hmm.
cool, but outside of that, I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen the guy take a snap. At least not that I
No.
can
He
remember.
he was our punt returner and kick returner last year.
Okay.
But as a punt returner, I will say he did a good job of not muffing the punt. I don't think he maybe he did it once all year, which
Must
is
be nice.
amazing. But he just fair catched it every time. Like
Well,
he probably had the highest fair catch rate in the
hey, listen,
NFL.
I'll take a fair catch over whatever the hell Velus Jones does,
That's
okay?
true. That's true. That's
That is
true.
to me, that is suffering from success right there.
Yeah, yeah. But Dax Milne, he just doesn't really bring that much offensively either.
Sure.
He doesn't really do that much. And then the last guy is like Marcus Kemp, who was a special teamer for Kansas City
Right.
last year, Super Bowl
Hmm.
champion. So,
He's got
but
that champion pedigree. You
he's
got to
on the
keep him
champion.
around.
Yeah, exactly. We have all these Super Bowl winners like Jacoby Brissett on this team. But
That's crazy.
yeah,
I forgot Jacoby won a ring.
yeah. I think you won two. I think you won two.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think you won two, but I'm not 100%
He
sure on
won
that.
2 rings, and he's better than Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson. Put him in the Hall of Fame, as
yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, this
Wait, wait,
wide.
wait, wait, wait. For the sake of agenda, you're telling me that Sam Howell beat out Super Bowl champion Jacoby Brissett for the starting QB job in camp?
Yes, I'm telling you. Yes, he beat out a Super Bowl champion at
That's
quarterback.
crazy. Sounds like
We're
he's him
here.
to me.
We're here. Franchise quarterback. This guy's gonna be the next Patrick
Absolutely.
Mahomes. Like
That's what
it's
I'm
so.
hearing.
Yeah,
That's
next Aaron
exactly what I'm
Rodgers.
hearing.
Yep.
Better than Aaron Rodgers, because at least
Yeah.
Sam Howell speaks to his family.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But
Although he has a weird diet. That's his
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers-esque
yeah.
trait. There you go.
He only eats chicken.
There you go. That's perfect. That he is the next Aaron Rodgers. He's got his
Hmm.
weirdo trait.
Yep.
That's all he needs.
Yeah, that's it. You
That's
just
the only thing you
keep
need
on
to be the
sticking to
next
eating
Aaron
chicken.
Rodgers. As
Yep.
long as he eats only chicken tendies, he will be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep. Yep. I'm excited. But yeah, the wide receivers like beyond Terry, Jahan, Curtis. Again, I'm not that high on De'Ami Brown. There's really
Mhm.
not that much. So if one of those guys like Terry or Jahan go down, this wide receiver room could be in trouble.
True.
But and we don't really have a tight end right now that's sticking out as a good receiver. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's not that great.
Is Logan Thomas still the tight end one in Washington?
Yes,
I
he's still the
should
tight
know
end
this.
one, and he has
Okay.
not practiced in 2.5 weeks. So
Okay. Maybe
we
that's why I forgot Logan Thomas was there.
but a guy that's like stuck out kind of or should like make some noise this year or hopefully make some noise is Cole Turner, the fifth
Okay.
round pick out in Nevada last year, I think. So yeah, he's people want him to be the next tight end one in Washington. Hasn't really shown it yet. Well, he had some good catches during the Browns game and he'll get some more playing time tonight. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on him. But like it's not really he hasn't really turned out to what people thought he would be. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this is just me being me, but the first name I thought of when you said tight end was John Bates.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that might tell you where Washington's tight end
Yep.
situation is right
Yeah.
now.
And we know that guy can't catch a ball. So
Yeah, but
yeah.
much love to him because he's one hell of a blocker.
Yeah, he is one good blocker,
He
but
blocks his ass off. I
yeah.
love John Bates, but
hmm
yeah,
he can't catch. No.
I don't know if it's just the fact that I didn't get enough sleep last night or what, but I totally forgot Logan Thomas was still a Commander.
Yeah. Because I think so many people thought that he was going to get cut this year as well because of his
Mm,
contract or whatever.
that
That
might be
it was talked about so much, and then he just never did. He just
my subconscious
somehow
probably
got
just
on the team.
assumed he got cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which I
like
mean, I don't know. What are our thoughts on him? Like, is he any good anymore?
no,
I
no,
can't
he's
say I've
always
been
hurt.
watching the Logan Thomas film. Okay.
He's always hurt. Like he's been you get like I said, he hasn't practiced for 2.5 weeks. I don't know if
Okay.
he's gonna be ready for week one. But
Yikes.
yeah. And whenever he's on the field, he makes a few catches. Okay, I will say he makes a few catches every game, but like it's not that big. I wouldn't call him a top half of the league tight end or top 15
Which
tight
is
end, you
saying a
know?
lot because there are not a lot of good tight ends right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Like he's kind of slightly below average, I would say. Maybe
Mhm.
average. He'd go out and make a big play every once in a while, but doesn't really do much blocking wise either. So yeah.
Yeah.
But he's never healthy. That's the main thing. So
Which is tough because when you have a young quarterback, you really need that security blanket at tight end.
mhm.
Like it really does wonders for development. Like people can say what they want about Cole Kmet, but that was his job last year. He was
Yeah.
just, hey, Justin, everybody's hurt. I'm gonna go get open like 2 yards down the field, or we're gonna run a weird bootleg and I'm gonna get open 15 yards down the field.
Mhm.
Like guys like that, even if they're not a huge name, as long as they're there and they can be consistent, can be so huge for a quarterback's development.
Yep.
And Sam Howell not having a guy like that is kind of worrisome. But what'd you say the young guy's name was? He had a very tight
Cole
end name.
Cole Turner.
Cole Turner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start pushing the Cole Turner
It's a Cole
narrative,
Turner
man.
narratives. Yeah.
He
He's
sounds like a tight end.
Yeah, 85 tonight. You gotta keep an eye on him. He's gonna be
He
out
wears
there.
number 85 too?
Yeah, yeah. It's a
That
great,
man is a
great
tight
number.
end.
Yeah, he's like 6'7". He's a bigger guy too. Like he has all of the traits to be a great receiving tight end,
It
but he
sounds to me
just
like Eric
hasn't done
Bieniemy
it.
found his new Travis Kelce.
Yeah, he had like 2 concussions last year though, so we'll see. But
Completely unrelated, the Colts just told Jonathan Taylor he can go seek a trade.
oh wow. Oh
That's
wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Wait. So then so then hold on. Okay, he's not coming to Washington, all right? The people we can stop that right now. I
What are
saw
you
some people saying
talking
that the other
about?
day. He's not coming to Washington. Don't even
I
do it.
think every fan base just wants Jonathan Taylor because Bears fans are
No.
talking about him too. And we have like 5 running
Yeah,
backs we're trying to
your running
decide
back room is
between.
stacked. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even know what you're doing. You have yeah. But no, I don't want him. And okay, now that I'm thinking about it, now that he is available to trade, I'm thinking about it a little bit. But like, I mean, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, it would only be for 1 year because I doubt we give him another contract.
mhm,
Or maybe you have to, if you want to trade for him, you have to give him an extension. We'll see. But yeah, I think a running back room, especially with Chris Rodriguez in there now, is okay. Like, I don't think it needs Jonathan
yeah,
Taylor.
no, you guys don't need him by any means.
Yes,
Would
but
be fun though.
it would be fun though. I will say it would be fun though. The
Plus,
offensive.
that would be a cool ownership move. Just be like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
fuck it, let's go get a fun player.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's a little bit too close to the season, to like add him in
Sure.
to this rotation or whatever. And plus, I am kind of worried about our offensive line and how the Colts offensive line last year was just completely garbage. This
Right.
offensive line this year could be completely garbage as well. So,
Hmm.
I am a little bit worried about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all
But
right, yeah,
an hour into this, finally
yeah.
moving over to
Moving to
like the
defense.
bread and
Yes,
butter of this team,
yes,
the defense. It's really good, if that's not apparent
yeah.
to
It's
people
pretty.
out there.
I like it.
Defensive line's great, but one player on the defensive line that, at least on my end, I've heard a lot about this
Mm.
offseason because my fan base is obsessed with the idea of bringing him in,
Oh yes.
is Chase Young.
Hmm.
And obviously he's up for a contract this year, hasn't quite lived up to the number 2 overall pick hype. So, what are your thoughts on Chase Young as it stands?
Okay, I think Chase Young is um well right now I think he's on a good track. I
Mhm.
like how his recovery has been over this offseason. He's gone after he's been practicing with his Ohio State defensive line coach or whatever when he was over
It's always a
there,
good thing.
which is yeah, always great when it's like Ohio State defensive line coach. But like it's like a new energy in him as well. Like
Okay.
he's been out there, he's been explosive. Now he is hurt right now.
He's hurt again?
Yes. Yes, he got
Oh,
hurt. We
no.
had this one play against the Browns where 3 players got hurt in one play. Chase Young, St. Juice, and someone else all got hurt within one
Oh,
play.
Chase.
Now, I think it's mild, but I don't expect to see him again for the rest of the preseason. But yeah, he's hurt.
That
Yeah.
actually just broke my heart, man. I'm rooting for Chase Young so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, I think like
Even if
um
it's mild, like,
mhm.
the mild injuries add up.
Yeah, he got like twisted up or something when he was tackling. I don't know if you remember in the Browns Commanders game, it was like Watson. He almost sacked Watson, and then like Watson ran and scrambled out for a little bit, but
Mhm.
like he was so close to picking up his first sack back or whatever. He was literally hanging on to him, and Watson somehow slipped out, and Chase got
I
hurt
did
on
see
that.
that, and I remember I got
Yeah,
upset because I wanted Chase Young to be the one to put
yeah,
him in the dirt permanently.
yeah. But yeah, he got hurt on that play, so. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's gonna set him back that much. I think he's gonna be okay. He was limited in practices, so he's at least doing something right now, which is good. And yeah, the only thing I don't think he's doing is team drills yet, but like he's doing a bunch of individual stuff. He should be good for week 1, but in terms of what I want to see from him this year, I think just him being average. Like if he's just average, this defensive line is still incredible.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if he's just average, if he just picks up 5 sacks this year, that's awesome. I don't know what that's going to mean for the contracts later on with him and Montez Sweat towards his offseason. That's a problem for a different time. That's a problem for 6 months from now. If he's just like a 5 sack, 6 sack guy this year, this defensive line is like incredible because just Sweat, Allen, and Payne alone, I think they had 39 last year.
Which
Just
is
those three,
wild.
which is just wild. Yeah, it's insane. And then you add on 5 more from Chase Young, and then like the 5 or 6 more from the other guys on the defensive line that like actually put up some solid numbers. It's like
Mhm.
45 sacks, 40 something sacks. Like that's great. So again, just him being average, showing that he's healthy, playing the full season is just kind of what I want from him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and that's totally valid. I mean, the health is obviously the big thing. I
Mhm.
think, we've seen flashes, we've seen splashes, we've seen all that good stuff from him. It's just been the consistency and him staying on the field, and it's tough. And like I said, the fact that he's hurt again, even if it is mild, breaks my heart
Yeah.
because I'm rooting so hard for the dude.
Yeah. He has a Instagram that he's kind of made it like under the radar or whatever. It's just called Lost Files. It only has like 10,000 followers or whatever, but he's just posting like daily his workouts and stuff on there and like a little bit of montages and it's yeah, he's explosive. It's been getting me hyped for his debut or whatever, which will be probably week 1 is my guess unless his injury lingers, but um yeah, it got me so hyped for the season.
Yeah. And I mean, understandably so. And like you said, even if he doesn't quite get where he needs to be, you've got Montez Sweat on the other side who has
Exactly.
emerged as an absolute dog.
Yeah.
You've got John Allen, who's one of the best defensive tackles in football. You've got Deron Payne, who should have been a Chicago Bear, but is
God
still
damn.
an incredible
I
defensive
swear,
tackle.
every player on this defense you guys want. It's
Because it's
crazy. You're obsessed
good.
with it. It's
Yes,
just
we want good players. That is how
yeah.
it works.
Pick from
This is
some
what
other
happens.
teams though. Pick from some
This
other
okay,
teams.
but when you have John Allen or not John Allen, excuse me, you have Deron Payne hitting free agency and Chase Young's name gets brought up in trade rumors and the Bears defensive line is so bad and we have so many assets. I mean, it's the perfect storm of he's a bear. He's a bear. He's a
Yeah.
bear. Like
I swear.
I'm
You guys
sure
were
it
even
is
saying
annoying.
like
Don't get me wrong,
mhm,
but it that's again suffering from success.
yeah.
That is what that is.
Yeah. I mean, even going back to Terry McLaurin last offseason too. You guys said he's a bear. He's a bear. Like yeah, every
I wasn't in on that. I just want
but
to say.
I swear some people were. But like I remember last offseason when there was like all those wide receivers. It was Terry, I think DJ Moore was in it as well.
Mhm.
And some other ones, like every single one. Your fans were like, he's a bear, he's a bear. And then extension happens, moves on to the next guy. He's a bear. Like
Yeah.
it's been funny. It's been funny.
The Bears fan base is a colorful group of fellas, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
don't like it very much.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like wanting players to come over. It does
Mhm.
get annoying.
Yeah.
Um
You got DJ
what
Moore at least.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
we ended up doing pretty good for ourselves. But what
Mhm.
gets me is the group of fans that after Terry McLaurin got extended were like, well, you know what? Darnell Mooney's better anyways. Like,
Yeah.
no, no, he's not.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney's potential ceiling is
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin if we're being like generous.
Mhm.
But it
Exactly.
was something like I think it started with the guy tweeting out like, look at their numbers, and then if you look at the measurables and their combine numbers,
The
they're
combine
actually the
numbers.
same player, and Mooney was more productive, so he's better. Like, no,
That's not
that's
really how it
not how
works.
that
Yeah.
works.
But
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it's pretty crazy the
Yeah.
amount of people you guys want from us. But
Well,
yeah.
like I said, when you're good and you have players that are allegedly available,
Mhm.
that's what happens. And it just so happened that the Bears had the most assets to go after guys.
It's gonna be Montez Sweat. A trade deadline when if Washington is like somewhere at 500, you guys will be wanting Montez Sweat. Like
Oh
it's
my god.
Sweat's gonna have like he's gonna have a better season at that point than Chase Young, and you guys will be like begging for Sweat. I swear it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I mean,
So
probably.
probably
And I might
you gotta look
retweet a
into
couple
it.
tweets here and there, but just so you know, if I do, it's just to get under your skin.
Yeah,
It's not
for
because I
sure.
think it's actually gonna happen. It's gonna be just to bother
Just
you
from
because you
yep.
made a big
All
deal
right.
about it.
Okay. Yep. But yeah, the defensive line. Some of the other guys like I want to talk about on the defensive line that have actually
Mhm.
stood out.
Go
John
for it.
Ridgeway, I think he got
Sick
drafted by
football name.
Dallas. Great football name, great name for a defensive lineman as well.
Mhm.
And he's like one of your nasty it's gonna get up
I
in your
love him.
face type guys. Yeah, he's got a
Sounds like a
great name.
Chicago Bear.
That sounds yeah. But yeah, he was drafted by Dallas and on day 3 in 2022. Didn't make the final roster for Dallas. We picked him up once. I don't know. We had a defense. Oh, once Fedarian Mathis got hurt last year, we picked him
Mm.
up, and he was great for us. I don't know if you remember, there was this one play against the Texans where Damian Pierce got picked up in the air and he slammed him down to the
I
ground.
do remember that.
Yeah, that was John Ridgeway.
Okay.
He's got that dog in him, that's for sure. Like,
Love that.
I he's gonna make the final roster. He's gonna be the main backup to one of them with Fedarian Mathis this year, which Mathis himself, like, I don't know. He hasn't been great so far in training camp, that's for sure. He was getting beaten by UDFA offensive linemen. Um, and again, coming off the 20 ACL last year. I'm not that high on him, and we definitely could have picked someone better than just another defensive tackle in the second
Right.
round. So
Yeah. Was he
yeah.
a Bama guy? I can't remember.
Yes, he was a Bama guy.
Of course he
Yeah,
was a Bama guy. That's
yeah, he is.
Washington's bread and butter. Just
Yeah,
take whatever Bama
Bama
defensive
defensive
tackle
lineman.
is there. Didn't they
Surprised we
draft
didn't get.
one this year?
No, no, I didn't.
Uh,
We got
okay.
a Clemson guy and a Louisiana Lafayette guy,
Okay.
but
Okay. No, I knew
yeah,
you guys took defensive line. I couldn't remember if one of them was Bama or not.
no,
Because there were a couple
yeah.
nice
Wasn't
Bama defensive linemen.
one of the Byron Youngs went to Alabama, right?
Yeah. One of the
Okay,
Byron Youngs,
yeah.
DJ Dale,
Oh, yep.
obviously Will Anderson.
Hmm.
Like there were a
Yeah.
couple guys.
If we were in position, I swear we were taking Will Anderson over like a quarterback. Like that's probably what we would have done.
Ew.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yep.
I am Will Anderson's biggest critic, so that is gross.
But Ron Rivera would have done it. He would have done it. So
Good old
we would have,
Riverboat Ron.
yeah, run it back with Carson Wentz and select Will Anderson with the top pick. So yeah,
Oh
but the
man.
defensive line, KJ Henry should look good. Okay, a guy I know. Yeah, we keep on talking about the defensive line, but
No, it's totally fine.
a
This
guy,
defensive line's sick. I don't blame you.
yeah, a guy that stood out so far in training camp, 7th round pick, Andre Jones Jr. out of
Ooh,
Louisiana
okay.
Lafayette. That guy has been something. He's been getting first team reps with
Okay.
Chase Young out. So he's gonna get first team reps tonight probably or start tonight,
Okay.
which is gonna be pretty cool to watch. But yeah, he's gonna make the final roster as a 7th round pick. And in the past, Washington has been cooking with their 7th round picks. Cam Curl, um, Christian Holmes made the roster in his rookie year last year. There's some other 7th round picks. Shaka Tony, I know he got like suspended now, but he was a former 7th round pick. There was some guys in the 7th round that Washington has done a good job on developing. So, yep, that was the defensive line.
Yeah, defensive line's gonna be sick.
Mm.
And on top of that, I don't know if they're gonna be as good, but I am excited to see what happens with this secondary this year because there are some
Mm.
intriguing pieces back there. I know my boy Quan Martin apparently did not
Yeah.
have a very good game the
Okay.
first outing.
Yeah. We got
Um,
yeah. Hold
oh
on.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So Quan Martin, like the after the game against the Browns, I don't know if you saw this, but like he was liking all of the tweets. He searched his name up on Twitter basically after the game, which he didn't play well in, and he was liking tweets that were hating on him. And then Jeremy
Oh,
Reeves got involved too.
oh
Yeah, there's some
my.
beef. Yeah, Reeves was like, if you're gonna hate on him now, keep on hating on him when he's good. It's like that's not really how it works. But okay.
Bro does
Uh
not understand how fan bases
yeah.
react.
Yeah. But yeah, he liked one of my tweets too because I was like, well, Quan Martin has been a little disappointing tonight, and he liked it. So yeah, it hasn't been great, but he's a high floor guy. I'm not really that worried about him. I think he's gonna play well tonight. Like it's gonna be fine. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm huge Quan Martin guy. I love
mhm.
him. But we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get to the draft here. I want to talk about the type of coverages that this team runs because it's really interesting. You have Jack Del Rio, who, despite his off the field comments, is one of the defensive coordinators in the NFL. And I'm very intrigued with his secondary and the way he calls his coverages because this isn't a Vic Fangio disciple. He didn't work under Fangio, but his defense reads like a Fangio defense. Yeah. Now there are some slight differences, like he runs a little more cover 0 and a little more cover 2-man, cover 5, whatever you want to call it, than Fangio does. But you look, this is a team that was top 4 in quarters with 23.4% of their defensive snaps. They were in the top half of the league in quarter half with 7.5% of their snaps. And then cover 0, they were top 10, 9th with 2.6% of their snaps, mostly something you guys use in the red zone, like the shallow red zone within 10 yards and on third down. And then another third down call is cover 5, cover 2-man, whatever you want to call it, tied for 9th there with 2.1% of snaps. And then cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, not as high there. In the 20s in terms of their rank versus the rest of the league. But, I'm a big Fangio guy as a Bears fan. He was the man who introduced me to defense and how cool it can. Well, I'm not going to say the man, but one of the men who introduced me to how cool specifically the schematics of defense can be. Like I knew how great defense was before Fangio got there, but in 2018, when he was the guy for the Bears, won Matt Nagy Coach of the Year, it was like, okay, scheme's pretty cool. I like what he's cooking up. And to see guys who aren't even Fangio disciples taking after him and kind of running their defenses similarly to him is so cool. I absolutely love it.
But yeah, it was interesting last year, like how the secondary was, because it was very inconsistent. Like we were, like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. It was inconsistent so far. But yeah, I'm excited for this year. We've added a lot of pieces to this year that definitely fit the scheme of semi Vic Fangio, but like Quan Martin fits the scheme really well.
Absolutely.
Emmanuel Forbes, even though people think it's a reach, and I do too, it reminds me a lot of the Jahan Dotson pick last year. Like people were lower on him. Most people had like a second round grade on him, but he kind of has like this. Okay, the only thing that's different about this pick than Jahan Dotson is like Dotson had a high floor, I felt like last year, while Forbes is it's going to be hit or miss, really. Which so far he's looked really good, especially in the joint practices against the Ravens. But yeah, we've added guys to this secondary that fit the scheme really well and gotten rid of guys like William Jackson who didn't. So
yeah, it's tough with Forbes, and we'll talk about him a little bit more when we talk about the draft. But like, you look at him, and you're a team that runs this Fangio style defense. You probably did have a first, second round grade on him. You're a team that runs more of a, Brian Flores style defense, for example. Probably had like a 5th, maybe 6th round grade on him. He was such a polarizing player dependent on your scheme because if you ask him to man up, he's going to get cooked. If you have him sitting in a zone and just ask him to attack the ball, he is going to cook. So it's really tough with him. I think it was a reach too, just primarily because Christian Gonzalez was still there and he was the best corner in this draft. Blue chip prospect, someone I'm super high on. But I also understand where Washington is coming from. My big concern is, though, if Ron Rivera gets fired after this year, Jack Del Rio is not going to stay. And unless you hire a guy that also has Fangio ties, Forbes is kind of wasted. Like, that's kind of a waste of a first round pick. So there's a lot riding on Ron Rivera with that. Like this really needs to be a big year from him. And that's kind of what it all comes back to is how much pressure is on Ron. Because if he falls apart and you waste that first round pick, that's tough. That's really tough. Because straight up, if you're running a defense that is not quarters heavy next year with a lot of off coverage, you wasted the pick. Point blank period. There's like the amount of adjustment Emmanuel Forbes would have to do to his body to work better in a more man coverage, more physical defense is like something out of a body horror film. I don't think it's humanly possible to do in one off season, let alone, or in multiple off seasons, let alone one off season, excuse me. Like it's tough.
Yeah. I think like you're saying, but Forbes and stuff, Ron Rivera, so I don't know if you know this, but Ron Rivera has a ginormous say in all the stuff we do. Like
Okay,
he's basically the general manager. Like he doesn't have that
interesting.
title, but he's the one drafting the players. He's the one that traded for Carson Wentz. He even said it himself. He's the one
Yikes.
that makes all the yeah. We had this press conference last year where like Ron Rivera went off and then he just left. It was bad. It was
I
after one of
remember
the
that.
Carson Wentz disaster classes, but,
I remember.
yeah, um, but yeah, Ron Rivera is the one making these, like, calls, and him getting Emmanuel Forbes and stuff, that was probably his move and Jack Del Rio's move, so, um, yeah, our general manager, Martin Mayhew, he doesn't really do that much on the football side of things, it's really just Ron Rivera, but yeah,
I did not know that,
yeah,
and that is kind of concerning.
it is, very is.
That is not good.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't like coaches that have like as big of a say as like a general manager.
mhm, yeah.
Like they should have some, but like no.
It has worked one time, and even then, that one time it worked, it is starting to unravel very quickly before our
Yeah.
eyes.
Hmm.
Like it's tough. But yeah, this is a defense that defensive line's going to be great. Linebacker core, I know we didn't talk about them, but I feel like there's
It's
not a
fine.
whole
Yeah.
lot to talk about. Like they're fine.
No.
Jamin
Yeah.
Davis is learning how to play the position, and that's kind of the big thing. Cody Barton is fine. He's
Hmm.
like he's your very stereotypical quirked up white boy at linebacker,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Good downhill player. And
Basically
he can
Cole
hold his
Holcomb.
own in coverage. Yeah.
Yep.
No, exactly. He
Like,
is slightly worse Cole Holcomb. I think Cole
I would
Holcomb's
say
a
he's slightly
little bit
better.
better. Interesting.
I
Okay.
say slightly better. And I
Maybe that's my UNC bias coming through.
yeah,
But
and I think yeah, I was talking to Jackson about it too because like, he's a
mhm,
Seahawks fan and like
right.
he was pretty high on him. So and like I go looking at the film and stuff, I think he's slightly better, but they're practically I've heard people say slightly worse, whatever. They're practically the same
They're
person.
pretty yeah,
Yeah,
either way, like
yeah,
it's by that much.
yeah. It's really
It's yeah,
not
you're
that
not
big.
going to feel a change
Hmm.
either way.
Yeah,
Um
but
but and then the secondary is going to be an interesting thing to monitor. You have some really
mhm,
nice pieces like Kendall Fuller's pretty good. The
yeah.
safety group's nice. Um but
St.
it'll be
Juice,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
St. Juice. I think he's down for a breakout year this year. He's gonna
I
be
like
good.
St. Juice.
Hmm. See a bear.
No.
Yeah.
That's the one thing the Bears don't need right now on defense is corners. Corners
Yeah.
and linebackers, we're good there.
Hmm.
You can keep your corners and linebackers, but your defensive line we're coming for.
Yeah.
We will be trading for John Allen at the end of the year. I hate to
Yeah.
burst your bubble.
Cam Curl, you need him.
We need to get rid of Eddie Jackson. We'll do a straight swap.
Straight swap for yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, all right. But yeah, contract year Cam Carl. It's gonna go crazy. But
Mhm.
yeah. That's the thing too, is like we have so many people that are free agents next year. Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Cam Carl,
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson, who we're not gonna bring back, but Curtis Samuel.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we don't bring him back.
Fingers
But
crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, last thing I'll say is that like I think Ron Rivera, he said something about him and Josh Harris hasn't really gotten the talk yet about how they want to do contract extensions, which is
Okay.
getting a little bit worrisome because if you're not going to do it during the season, it's going to give you a limited amount of time to get something done.
It gets messy when you wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for like all of them, like Sweat, Young. We're gonna have to use the tag on somebody, like whether it be Sweat, Young, or Cam Curl, and then Cody Barton's a free agent, Curtis Samuel, uh, like the Antonio Gibson. Like I said, the list goes on and on. So it's going to. I think we like half of our team is a free agent after the season. It's
Damn.
yeah.
That's rough.
We don't have an edge rusher besides the two rookies that we drafted on day 3. That is that is under contract after the season.
That's
So
tough.
yeah.
But speaking of free agency, finally getting into the
Mhm.
offseason here, and we'll make this
Yeah.
quick because I feel like there's not a ton to talk about.
Not really. Yeah.
Um, out of the guys that left the Commanders this
Mhm.
offseason, which one do you think is going to be felt their impact being gone is going to be felt the most? Or alternatively, if there's just a guy you really liked and you're sad he's gone, you can talk about him too.
All right, a guy okay, we'll start with a guy that I'm kind of mad that's gone. Cole Holcomb, I feel like was a nice piece. We kind of already talked about him, but
Mhm.
he was a nice piece. He knew the scheme very well, knew the defense very well. We lost him. Um, that's probably the one that I think will impact the most. But there's really nothing,
Yeah.
really no one. Like
It was a quiet offseason
I
in terms
feel,
of losses.
I feel the biggest one was Taylor Heineke, and
Yeah.
even then, half the fan base didn't even like him.
Hmm.
So I think I'm gonna miss him because of his character, not because of his play.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
a nice
And
guy. Like as you said, I had to meet during training camp or whatever. But his play, I will not be missing that. Atlanta can have that all like any day they want. So
no.
yeah, Heineke was probably the biggest loss. Heineke and Holcomb were probably the two biggest losses.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, there's really no one else worth talking about in length other than
shit,
those two. Like some of the
yeah.
other names here: Carson Wentz, Trey
Oh
Turner,
my
Bobby
god,
McCain, J.D.
yeah.
McKissick, John Bostic, former Bears legend.
Bears legend.
Uh, he's the one who made the play against the Steelers to end their perfect season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he make it? It was like a
Was it?
tackle on 3rd and long or something.
Maybe it was. I don't really
Whatever
remember.
it was, I almost know it for a fact because I think I was gloating about it at school the next day because I
Oh
hate Steelers fans.
yeah.
It was a former Bear that shut down the Steelers' perfect season. Let's see the other guys here: Nate Gary, Nick
Yeah.
Martin, Eli Wolf, Wes Martin,
Ooh.
Wes Schweitzer, I think is how you say that.
Yeah, he went to Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Cam Sims. So like, who cares?
Who cares?
Like,
Yeah.
unless Eli Wolf was your favorite player, which if he was, I'm sorry. But I don't think
He
there's
wasn't
any
even on the
Eli Wolf
team.
fans.
Yeah, he was on the
Oh,
practice
okay.
squad.
Well, there you
But
go.
yeah,
I don't think we got any Eli Wolf stands out there.
yeah. But
Retained free agents though.
okay,
That's
yeah.
a more
This
exciting
is where we're
list.
cooking. This is where we're cooking because
Hmm.
we actually retained a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number one there is Deron Payne, who we already kind of touched on. He coming off a career year, really improved as a pass rusher last year, looked great.
Hmm.
Um, and outside of that, you got guys like Rashad Wildgoose, the
Okay.
man, the myth, the legend.
He was all right last year. Like he was inconsistent, but
Okay, but
he's
he's
now
the goose.
he's the goose. But it's good now because he's not going to be starting. Like
Yeah.
he's going to become off bench, and that's good. I
You got
like
the
him.
goose's depth. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. But he's not
Having
now a
the
cornerback one, which was horrible. But yeah.
Yeah. Other names here: Tyler Larson, David Mayo, Danny Johnson, Jeremy Reeves,
Mhm.
Kaliki Hudson, Milo Eifler,
Yeah.
Jonathan Williams,
Okay,
and
those guys don't
F.A.
matter.
Obata.
Okay,
Obeda.
Obata matters. Obata
Okay.
matters.
Okay.
He
Did I say his name right?
Yeah,
Obata.
F.A. Obata, yeah.
Okay.
He's going to be he's going to be good. Like last year he was really underrated. He's one of the most underrated pass rushers in my opinion in the NFL. Like
Okay.
he in Chase Young's absence last year, he put up some really good numbers. He's looked super good during training camp and in the preseason game. He was applying a lot of pressure during, uh, during the game against the Browns. But yeah, Obata's been great. I don't know if you said him or not, but another guy that I feel like is a little bit underrated that's kind of stood out in training camp is Danny Johnson, who we brought back.
Hmm. I did say Jenny Johnson.
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty good too in terms of being like a backup. So yeah,
Okay. Well, that's good.
yeah,
That's always good when you keep guys in house that
hmm
can serve a solid role like that.
yeah,
And then looking at some of their external additions, in the draft, you already talked about Andrew Wiley and Cody Barton, excuse me. Like they're both going to be okay. Barton's probably going to be better. A couple other names here: Nick Gates,
hmm
who is the
he's all
lineman.
right. Yeah,
He is the
he's
lineman of
okay.
all time.
Yeah,
Um,
he's like a Ryan Jensen wannabe.
yeah, he really is. If you look at him, he
Yeah.
does look a lot like Ryan Jensen. That's a good observation. I don't know. I didn't put that together myself. Jacoby Brissett, who was the best quarterback in Cleveland last year.
hmm
He's now coming in
I
as the
like that.
backup. And if the Sam Howell experiment falls apart, then you can throw him in and
hmm
kind of try to revive the
Maybe.
season.
Yeah, but if you throw him in, I feel like then season like Ron Rivera's time in Washington is over. If you throw
Probably.
Brissett in and Brissett isn't like Aaron Rodgers type level or like a top 5 quarterback for the rest of the year, like I just don't. I think if you throw him in, it's like the white flag.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
literally the white
much.
flag. But
Yeah.
yeah. But still great. Like you can still salvage a season with Brissett. Like he's not a bad
Yeah.
quarterback at all.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. Yeah, he is a really good backup.
Hmm.
You want him as a backup.
Yep.
And then the other two names here, Abdullah Anderson and Trenton Scott. Abdullah Anderson, another former Bear. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have anything to say about either of these guys.
No, no.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if Trent Scott will probably make the team. I don't know, but Abdullah Anderson's not making the team. So
okay. Let's talk about the draft because that's fun.
yes, yes.
Who was your favorite draft pick that the Commanders made?
Favorite draft pick. I like the Quan Martin pick, and at the time as well, I really like the KJ Henry pick. So
Okay. You said at the time. Has that
at the
changed?
time, it has changed because at the time, trading up for KJ Henry, I thought I had like a third round grade, I think, on KJ Henry. Got him in the 5th round. But he hasn't really done much in training camp, unfortunately.
Mm,
And in the preseason game, like Andre Jones, who was drafted in the 7th round, has been
mhm.
outperforming KJ Henry, who we traded up for in the 5th round. And now with guys like F.A. Obata still as an edge rusher and Casey Toohill, James Smith Williams, I mean, I brought this question up a little bit as well. Like KJ Henry could be on the chopping block, maybe.
Okay.
And we traded up for him in the 5th round. So
Interesting.
we will probably cut one of Casey Toohill or James Smith Williams instead. But like if KJ Henry doesn't show something in the next 2 preseason games, it's definitely going to be like trouble. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, also, like we're going through the list of free agents or whatever. Shout out Cam
Mhm.
Dantzler for his like 2 weeks in Washington
Oh
before he
yeah.
dipped out.
Yeah.
Yep, that
I
was
forgot
fun.
about that completely.
Yep, that was fun. I thought we were gonna have. I think he was gonna revive his career here. Lasted
Yeah.
2 weeks.
I got a buddy who's a Vikings fan. I do my podcast with,
Mm-hmm.
and he's high on Cam Dantzler. He thought he was going to get something in
Yep.
Washington as well,
No.
but
Yeah, I
he
don't even know if
didn't.
he made it to OTAs. Like it was bad.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But looking at this draft class, just kind of going pick by pick, starting with Forbes, who we already talked about a little bit. Just a super skinny, smart,
Yes.
good zone coverage, quick guy with good ball skills. Um, Fun story. I jokingly compared him to the stick bug from A Bug's Life,
Mhm.
because they are built similarly, respectfully. And apparently his uncle is on Bear's Twitter and saw the
Oh.
tweet and got really mad at me over it. And I was like, listen, man, I'm just trying to have some fun. I didn't mean any, I'm not trying to be personal about it. And he is one of 2 family members of
Oh, I
players
remember.
in this
Yeah,
draft
the other
class that
one.
reached out to me. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
yeah.
yeah, like I like Forbes for this
Mhm.
type of defense. I think he can be good and he can be productive in it. But like I already said, if things go south, Ron's out, Jack Del Ria's out, and you bring in a DC that runs a different kind of defense, this is going to be a completely wasted pick.
Yeah,
Like for this defense, I get it. For the grand scheme of things, and honestly for this defense as well, you guys should have went Christian Gonzalez.
I agree. I agree. Like
The fact that
I
he went the pick after, like,
you don't
I don't want to be
understand.
too much of an
And
asshole, but
not
this
not only
screams Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson at
yeah,
corner.
and not only did he go the pick after, but I think the Patriots put in their selection within like 2 minutes. Like it was, you know how like the teams drag it out every time so that until it gets
Mhm.
like 2 minutes left on the clock. No, they turned theirs in with like 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know you messed up.
Yeah,
Like
it's tough.
yeah.
It's
Also,
definitely unfortunate.
I don't know if you saw the Colts want a 1st round pick for Jonathan Taylor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's not
So
happening.
JT is staying in Indy.
He's staying in Indy. Or
Good to
okay,
know.
sorry, or a combination of picks that equals a 1st.
So he's
What that
staying in
means.
Indy.
He's staying in Indy, yes.
Good to know.
Yeah, no
Um,
one's giving him that.
mhm.
But, yeah, but
Yeah,
back to yeah.
continuing on here, Quan Martin was one of my favorite players in the entire class.
Mhm.
Like,
How high did you rate him?
I had a 2nd to 3rd round grade on him. Like, I
Okay,
was not very high on the safety class as a whole.
okay,
So he graded out as my 3rd safety behind Brian Branch and JL
yeah,
Skinner.
alright.
But I loved Martin. Like he was so fun to watch. He's a good tackler, which if you see me tweet anything, that is like huge for me. You got to be able to tackle. Um, but he's super athletic. He had, I think, just over a 5% missed tackle rate at Illinois, like throughout his career, which is great. He played well in man coverage. He's got good reactionary quickness. He's super slippery. He's got oily hips. Like he's got everything you want out of a guy that's going to play either in the nickel or at safety in this type of defense. I don't know where you guys have him playing because I didn't watch that first preseason
Safety.
game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safety or
Yeah.
nickel. Yeah.
But he can do either or. Hell, there were times at Illinois where he was playing outside corner, like boundary corner. So like in a pinch, you should be able to do that with him as well. So he's just going to be a crazy chess piece for this defense. I know he had a bad first preseason game, but don't count him out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's going to be him.
He
He's
had 4
Timothy.
tackles. He had 4 tackles. See?
Yeah.
Like,
There
yeah.
you go. That's 4 more tackles than Eddie Jackson has in a game, and Eddie Jackson's
Exactly.
touted as a superstar. So there you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Quan Martin, I'm excited for. I think I talked most about him already, but yeah, high floor guy, not really overreacting to that one preseason game.
Yeah. And then you took a pair of offensive linemen here with Ricky
Yes.
Stromberg and Braden Daniels. I didn't watch either of them before the draft, so I'm not quite in tune with them. Like I know what they are, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on them. I kind of want to let you take the wheel here.
Yeah, Stromberg. I like the Stromberg pick. He rose up a lot of people's draft boards. Like in that draft process, it felt like every day he did something. It was just going up because he was like a 6th, 7th round, like late day 3 guy. I felt like in December, and then he got all the way up and he got drafted in the 3rd round in April. So yeah, I liked him. Again, so far in training camp, he hasn't really done incredible, and Braden Daniels has been worse. So we'll see, But like
That's
Daniels,
unfortunate.
they've been playing him at left tackle on the 3rd team, and
See, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's not gonna work. You need to.
He doesn't have the strength. He's a guard, man.
Yeah, but he's just been getting beat a lot. But still playing him at left tackle. Don't really know what's up there.
That's tough.
But
I mean, like, who are your backup guards right now? I know you've got Chris Paul, who might even be a starter.
Yeah. And then, why am I blinking? Hold on. Nick Gates. We have a lot of pieces that like can play multiple positions.
Okay.
So
yeah.
like Nick Gates can play guard. Who is it? Oh, Mason Brooks. So
Okay.
me. Yeah. Okay. So a UDFA out of Ole Miss, I think. UDFA out of Ole Miss. He looked really good in training camp for like a week. Didn't really look. He was like okay during the preseason game against the Browns. Didn't really do much during the joint practices against the Ravens. So the hype has kind of died off for a little bit, but it was like hype was at an all-time high around him because on one of the practices he pancaked Fidarian Mathis on one-on-ones on back-to-back plays. And like the offensive line coach was like jumping up and down and stuff and screaming, which like he's like more of a closed guy, but like he was jumping up and down and screaming and everything. And yeah, so that was like when the hype was at an all-time high, but that might be more for Fidarian Mathis being not so great now. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but
it's
the depth at guard is not that great.
Okay. Yeah. So kick him to guard. Do the right thing.
Exactly.
That's where he needs to play.
Exactly.
Moving on though, KJ Henry, you already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not super high on him right now. Chris Rodriguez, I like this pick. He's going to be a good RB too. Like, it's weird because he's got a lot of Brian Robinson in him, but he also doesn't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what he is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he averaged 8 yards per carry on 5 carries during the preseason game.
Not bad.
So there's that, but really not much to say. I know there's some character stuff that happened at Kentucky before the season.
Yeah, he had a DUI.
Yeah, was it a DUI? Yeah. So yeah, we'll see.
Kids make mistakes. You know, it's. I mean, it's not great. I'm not excusing it. Drunk driving is very much a very bad thing. Do not drink and drive, please.
Yes.
But like, I don't know. I don't think drinking and driving one time is enough to like ruin a kid's career. You know,
like but we'll see.
I'll put it this way: if Jalen Carter got away with what he got away with,
then Rodriguez will be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. But not much to say about Rodriguez. And then I feel like I've talked a lot about Andre Jones already because that guy's going to be good. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other UDFAs that you want to talk about. I don't
Uh,
have any of them listed or anything. I
like
don't know who's there. I just know Chris Paul because funny
yeah,
basketball man, now
funny.
football
Yeah.
man.
Well, fans were chanting CP3 every time he walks down
Oh my
the
god,
area on the open
he's the
practices.
better
It's so
Chris Paul
funny.
as far as I'm concerned.
But no, yeah, I talked about like the wide receivers a little bit, Kaz Allen and Mitchell Tinsley.
Hmm.
But yeah, one of them will probably be the wide receiver 6. That's probably the biggest position battle right now is wide receiver 6. Dax Milne, Kaz Allen, Mitchell Tinsley, Marcus Kemp. One of those
Okay,
4 will get it.
gotcha.
But yeah, not many other UDFAs are doing anything besides
Okay,
Tinsley, Allen, and Mason Brooks, who I talked about. So
all right.
yeah.
Well, from there, I think we're pretty close to wrapping it up. I got one last question for you, and it's a two-parter.
Okay.
What do you think this team is going to look like record-wise this year? And you can either
All
give me a
right.
floor and a ceiling or a full, like,
Okay.
straight-up record prediction.
All right.
And then on top of that, what player are you the most excited to watch this year?
Okay, floor 0-17, ceiling 17-0. We're just gonna go with that. It's literally relies on Samuel. No, all right. Seriously though,
There's a wide range of outcomes.
this team really relies on Sam Howell on the offensive line.
Hmm.
Like everything else is perfect. It's gonna be good. Defense was top 5 last year. Don't really see them falling. If they even fall off a little bit, it won't be that big of a deal.
Your top 5 last year got better.
Yeah, and they bring in Chase Young and stuff. So like I don't think they're going to fall off at all. Receivers are good. Running backs are good enough. Tight end position is not so great, but that's fine. You don't really need it that much, especially. Yeah, you don't really need that much. But yeah, it really relies on the offensive line and how much they can protect Sam Howell, how much time they can give Sam Howell in the pocket. I would say the floor for this team is 4 wins. It's
Okay.
4 wins. I think yeah, because this is how they get 4 wins. Sam Howell is horrible. Jacoby Brissett gets injured. All right, or Brissett is just not the same.
Who's QB3?
Jake Fromm.
Oh, no.
So yeah, but offensive line is just like worst in the league. Terry has a down year. The entire defense has a down year, and just the strength of the schedule gets to them. Injuries pile up, strength of the schedule gets to them. 4 wins, and we get Caleb Williams. But no, just saying, it's a win-win season no matter what. We make the playoffs, or Ron Rivera gets fired, and we get Caleb Williams. So it's a win-win season.
Great time to
But
be a Commanders fan right there.
great time. Yeah, ceiling I would say 10 wins probably.
Okay.
I think this is like Sam Howell does great. Um, no, I'd say I'd go with 11. All right.
Ooh,
Okay, I'd
we're
say
getting
11.
frisky.
I don't think they're gonna hit 11, but I think this team definitely has a chance. And that's like Sam Howell is everything that he's shown so far in training camp, plus a little bit more. The defense is one of the best in the league. Offensive line is mediocre, which is like great. Like Jahan Dotson had the season I was talking about. And somehow we get 11 wins. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the strength of the schedule like completely lies. So like
Yeah.
the teams that are good on it are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's and then what was the other question?
Who are you most excited to watch this year?
Without a doubt, number 1, Jahan Dotson for sure. I think he's in for a big year. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, yeah, we talked about him enough. We
How
get the
about you?
gist.
How about you?
So record wise, goodness, excuse me. Record wise, I think this is a team that, like you said, there's a decent range of outcomes for them. Things could go south pretty quickly, but also there's a world where they win 10, 11 games. So I think 11 wins is a pretty solid ceiling. I don't think they're going to hit 4. I have a little more confidence in the defense than that. So I'm going to say 6 is my floor for them.
Okay, that's valid. That's valid.
I probably should have had this prepared since I knew this was going to be asked at the end. So yeah, I'm going to say like between 6 and 11 wins is probably where I see the Commanders landing.
Like every other season with Ron Rivera.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna hit that 8 win again. But,
yeah.
All right.
Beyond that, though, the player I'm most excited for is definitely Sam Howell. As much as I love Alex Arma, Shout out to Alex Arma. We love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, he could make the roster this year,
He
especially with
better.
Logan Thomas injured and stuff. The chances are definitely increasing, and he's
Good.
gonna play tonight as well. So
Oh,
we'll
we
see.
will be watching.
We
We
will be
will be
there. We
tuning in.
will. We will be there for that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I'm so excited for Sam Howell. Him and John Bates, honestly.
Okay.
Got to throw John Bates in there. Listen, I love me a good blocking tight end, okay? Nothing wrong with that. A good tight end too, getting out there, getting dirty in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
You got to respect it. You got to love it.
Yep. Yep. So yeah.
With that being said, I think that about wraps this up here.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, Mason, if you would like to plug anything, by all means, the floor is yours, and I'll make sure all your links are in the description down below.
Yeah, I mean, I guess This is my Twitter right there. If you want to follow it, or X or whatever it's called. So
We call it Twitter on this show. We
Twitter.
don't
All
we
right.
don't
Yeah.
call it
Okay.
X.
All right. Yep. That's Twitter right there. And then yeah, like you said, I host Keeping Up with the Commanders podcast every week, which is on anywhere you get your podcasts. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even a Commanders fan, and I watch. You got to tune
Okay.
in.
Okay. All right. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Well, like I said, all his links will be down in the description down below, as well as all of mine. Make sure to follow me. I've got 2 podcasts going. One that's, a bit more NFL centric, and then the other one's just kind of talking about the Bears. The links to those will be in the description. And then you can find me everywhere: Miller Football _ Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, obviously here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, please make sure to leave a like down below. Helps out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care. I appreciate it. And definitely make sure to subscribe as well, because we're getting really close to 300 subs. We're creeping up there.
Let's go.
And that's, yes, sir, we're getting there. We
Let's
started
go.
in April, I think, and we're almost at 300. So
Okay.
we're creeping. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of my team preview series. Mason, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
I
you for
truly
having me.
appreciate it. Absolutely. And to everyone out there watching, and Mason, you as well, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it, because you're all wonderful people and you deserve it.